I was an admiral in the Navy, and when I left the Navy, I was trying very hard to no longer be an admiral. I was trying hard to be just plain Bill, the businessman. I had a little friend named Jennifer. Jennifer, 3 years old, was brought to our house one day, and her mother said, "Jennifer, say hello to Admiral Owens." And Jennifer looked up at me and said, "Hi, animal." And so my life today is as just plain Bill the animal. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that I've taken from some of the teachings of Dr. Kurzweiler, who's one of the founders of Singularity University out in Los Angeles. And I wanted to just put a little color to it because I think it's something that shapes all of our lives in profound ways. As we go through our lives, we plan our lives. We do in our families, we plan in our businesses. I've sat on 20 public boards. We all have 5-year planning scenarios. Planning is a big part of our lives. It's the way we see the future of our kids. It's the way we see the future of ourselves. It's the way we see the future of our nations and our economies. And you know, one of the things that's been apparent to me, and I hadn't thought about it very much until I came across Kurzweiler and Singularity University, is that I think we were built to plan in linear ways, and we do. You know, you think about it, you think of every degree of planning in your families, your plans for your kids. They're this way this year, they're going to be this way next year, they're going to grow. Same thing with your businesses, etc. But there's every evidence that the world around us never is linear. It's always some kind of exponential function. And so the difference between the way the world is going to be and the way the world you plan to be is a delta. And the delta is a delta lost. And it has to do with your imagination about what could be and what actually is planned for. And if you start to think about the world in the way that it actually happens, then the future may be a very different kind of future. So one of the things that Singularity has talked about is that, you know, we've seen this explosion of internet technology. We've seen the explosion of digital technology and all kinds of technology. And clearly, all of you know that's not a linear function, it's an exponential function. Many of us are familiar with Moore's law and many other laws that show you that that's the case. If in fact you look at that world, and as we see the world today, we're starting to see a lot of machine-to-machine interface. You don't think about it much. I mean, your water meter communicates with the water company, or the gas company reads your meter, or the truck driving down the road communicates the temperature of the refrigeration in the truck back to the factory, and these machine-to-machine interfaces are all around us. In the next few years, we'll start to see these wonderful new telecoms networks, the wireless networks of the world, where half the data is machine-to-machine. And we individuals will have to compete with those machines to say, my conversation with my daughter is more important than the machine-to-machine conversation, or I may have to pay more money so that I can use that network to overtake the machine. But the interesting thing is that the machines are getting smarter and smarter. And there's a theory that says sometime in the future, that smart device, whatever it is, it's a chip, it's a computer, it's something that's implanted in you or something else, will be as smart as a human being. And at that point, the world changes. Because these devices don't forget like old men forget. You know, I go to the airports nowadays, and sometimes I can't remember where I'm going when I get to the airport. The machine's not going to forget where it's going. And it'll remember everything that ever happened to it. And some of these machines will even be smart. You know, they see a bald gentleman, and they won't look at him and say, "My God, you're bald." They'll say, "You look really nice today," you know? And so the machines are, in fact, getting smarter. And what year does it happen when this occurs? Some people say 2029. I don't know when it's going to happen. But you can't doubt that machines are getting smarter. And at the point, just imagine what happens as you get close to singularity, and the machine can start talking to other machines, and the machines can start solving some of the world's great problems. And there is a theory, you can read a little bit about it from a great gentleman named Peter Diamandis, who is the founder of X Prize. It gives prizes for solving the world's great issues. There's a theory that the world is going to become much more abundant because of the knowledge around it. And you see today in the United States, shale gas. And who would have guessed shale gas was coming? Price of gas is going down. We're starting in my old home state of North Dakota. It's booming. We're seeing shale gas, oil exploration that we hadn't expected. We're finding new sources of water from various treatment of other effluents. And we're finding all kinds of solutions. But as you get closer and closer to singularity, you may find that the world is an abundant place. And so Peter has written a book called Abundance. For all of us optimists in the audience, you should read Abundance. Because I think it's true. And it's happened in our lives. You see it with the applications on your smart phones or computers. You see it with things that affect you in your life, that things are getting better in a lot of ways. And so the thought is that education will be better. We'll find ways to educate our kids better. We'll find ways to produce water better. Energy will not be an issue. We'll find many solutions to the world's most pressing problems. Those kind of thinkers are thinking along that exponential curve. They're not thinking along a curve that is a flatline curve that doesn't get to abundance. And so, as we think of all of the great innovation in this country, as we think of all of the great companies, as we think of all of the great people we have, people are able to really change the world. It seems to me that if you allow your imagination to become a big part of that 5-year plan for your family or your children, and you ask yourself, what could they be, rather than where are they going, you might find that this world becomes a very different place. And so I believe that if we look around the world today and we ask, who's going to lead this world in the future? I've talked to a few dozen people who care about this kind of arm-waving thinking, that there are 10,000 people who are probably 18 to 25 today in our world who in 20 years will lead this world. If you could find those 10,000 people and expose them to ideas about all this technology, all of the thoughts about bringing societies together. I'm a passionate, for example, about U.S.-China friendship. And I live in China. I spend my life with these people who want to be our friends. I think we need to be their friends in order to solve the world's great problems, to share solutions, to open the boundaries. If we allow ourselves to think along that exponential curve about what could happen with partnership, what can happen with social networking to bring the masses to the kinds of solutions they deserve in a democracy or in places that are not democracies. We've seen Tunisia and Egypt and other parts of the world changed by the technology, but also by the mass of ideas now given to the masses to allow them to have a voice in the world. And so, as we think of those 10,000 young people who can lead this world, maybe there's one of them in this audience or more. But they're out there. There are, we know, you see them. I mean, occasionally you find that waiter in a restaurant where you say, wow, I think that he or she should work for my company, or I'd like to have him or her around me. Maybe you see some of those leaders in our society, and we need to capture those kids, expose them to ideas, expose them to the exponential curve, not the flatline curve, and show them how we can change the world together.